Welcome to the episode. Today we will dive into how to use Azure Application Gateway to enable advanced traffic routing, SSL termination, and secure your web application with a WAF, WAF, that stands for Web Application Firewall. So let's get started. Advanced traffic routing with Azure Application Gateway. Well, with Application Gateway, or specifically Azure Application Gateway, you can route traffic based on URL paths, host headers, and even multiple site configurations. So you can use all of this. Now, this actually improves both performance and security, making your application routing more intelligent and efficient. In this case, your application stays at the backend pool, then you configure your rules in front, and then you make sure that the requests are handled properly. Now, what is SSL termination? Well, SSL termination allows the application gateway to handle SSL encryption and decryption, all the process, in the application gateway side. Nothing is actually going back to the machine. So you can do this, and you can also offload this task from the backend servers, which means nothing is going back to the servers. So the servers can actually stay focused on their primary job, that is to run application. All this encryption and decryption can be handled by the application gateway itself. Why will you use it? Well, this reduces the processing load on the VMs, improving the overall performance and simplifying the certificate management because you're doing it on the application gateway side. Next is Web Application Firewall, yet another sub-service which you can apply there. Well, to protect your web application, you can enable WAF on your application gateway. For this, you have to opt for the expensive tier, but once you actually use it, this option will be available. Now, this WAF actually defends your application against common web vulnerabilities like SQL injection attack or cross-site scripting attack. And there are even more attacks like that. This will ensure that your application remains secure from external threats. Customizable WAF policies. Well, you as an admin can actually tailor WAF policies to meet your organization's specific application needs, creating a custom rule for enhanced protection. This flexibility allows you to adjust security settings according to the unique requirement of your environment and your application needs. Now, you can also leverage Azure Monitor and Application Insight to track traffic patterns, detect the issues proactively, and also optimize your routing decisions. These tools provide valuable insight to fine-tune your application performance and security moving forward. Let's go to our lab and check out how we can implement Application Gateway. And we will also put an application at the back end and try to connect with it. So I will see you in the lab. All right, welcome to your next lab on Azure Application Gateway. So in this lab, we will see how we can use Azure Application Gateway to host, you guessed it right, the application running in the backend. Now that application can be running on cloud, whether it is in a virtual machine or Azure App Service, where you can use Azure's platform as a service. Or the application could also be running on-prem. But we will use Application Gateway to actually host that application to the outside world. So Application Gateway will be in the middle of your application and your users. Now, for this one, I will create a resource group because I need my application to run somewhere. I need a compute for that. So I will quickly create a resource group. I will just call it an ITA resource group, and I will deploy it in Canada Central. Perfect, no need for tags. And the resource group is done. Now, I will show you, actually, I will show you both. I will create a virtual machine. I will use it as infrastructure as a service, and I will deploy the application on top of this machine. Plus, I will also use Azure App Service. So there will be two applications, one running on a server and one running on the platform called App Services. So I have now my machine over here. This is just a normal computer running my operating system, and I also installed WebIS role on this machine. If I go to the address of this machine, this is the public IP. So this is my website on this machine. Remember, this website is just for the demo purposes. So the computer one is saying web server. And then I also have one app service running. This is the platform as a service. And this is the address of this app, web app service. And it says Web Application Service. So now we know both applications running online. And we can use Application Gateway to host this for our users. Now for that, let's go to our Application Gateway. So search for Application Gateway. This is the one. As you can see, we don't have any Application Gateway. We have to deploy one and then configure it. So let's click on Create. Perfect. Let me select my resource group and give this Application Gateway a name. I will call it NITA Application GW Gateway. Now, I will deploy it in Canada Central, but remember, your resources must be close to your users. This way, they will get the best latency and overall good quality of service. Now, which tier? Of course, we should go with the basic one, but standard V2 is good enough. If you want your application gateway to have a firewall to protect your application gateway, not your application gateway, if you want to protect your application, then you should go with this one. So that is Web Application Firewall version 2. So for this demo, standard V2 is good enough. Now, do you want to set up auto-scaling? Auto-scaling is nice if you know that the spike in the traffic will be there during some events, let's say Christmas. So you want your resources to scale up accordingly. But for this demo, one instance is good enough. So I will just say one is fine. It will use IPv4. You can also use dual stack, which means IP version 4 and 6 will be used. But IP4 is good enough for me. Now, this is not HTTPS. This is just a newer version of the HTTP protocol. So you can keep it enabled. Now, virtual network. Well, Application Gateway also need a private pool of addresses, especially for the backend, right? Where your resources will sit, and from this network, your Application Gateway will connect with all the backend resources. Yes, of course, Application Gateway also need a front end. Front end means the public IP address of your Application Gateway. So I will just select this one. And as you can see, I only have one subnet, and it says that you cannot use this one because my computer, my VM is using the subnet. Application Gateway needs its own subnet. But don't worry, we can create one over here. So click on Manage Subnet. Let's add one more. Do you need a specific name for it? Not really. You can just call it NITA App Gateway Subnet and save it. Perfect. Now I have it. Let's go back and select the new subnet which you created. Now, the front end. Now, what kind of front end you want? Well, I want public for my demo. But remember, your application gateway could be used for your internal employees as well. I mean, an organization can have internal websites or internal applications. For example, your timesheet system or timestamp system, or I will say the internal memo page or any internal application. So for that, you can use private or you can use both. Well, in my case, I will use public, and I don't have any public IP. This one is used by the web server. So let me create a new public IP. I will call it NITA Application Gateway PUB public IP. Click OK. Now the backend. Now this backend is looking for your resources, not the network. The network is already done. You selected your private network for it. Now we are going to put our resources inside this backend. So click on Add a Backend Pool. I will call it NITA pool. Now, let's add our targets. So first I want to add an IP address, or I can add the virtual machine directly. So if you know the IP address of your machine, you can put it there. Remember, it will be the private IP of your machine because it is in the same resource group plus in the same region. You can do that. Or you can just select the virtual machine directly. So this is the one. Now what else? Well, I also have one app service running. I can select that as well. Now, okay, I will do that. So you can actually add both a virtual machine and the app service at the same time, but that must be done via CLI, PowerShell. So just to make this demo simple enough, I will just add a virtual machine first, then I will create it, and then I will make one more application gateway, and I will add the app service. Click Next, click Next. Now, as you can see, the whole pipeline. Front end is ready, that is my public IP. It's not deployed yet, but it is configured. My backend pool is also there. Now I have to add rules. So let's click on Add Rule. I will call it NITA App Gateway Rule. Priority, I will just give it 1,000 because you can have multiple rules, by the way. If you have multiple rules, only then the priority will actually make sense. For 1,000 is fine. Now, there must be a listener which will listen to the incoming request from your outside customers. So I will just call it NITA listener. Now, what kind of request are you listening for? That is HTTP request via port 80. So I will keep it as it is. Now, you know that when you go to a website, sometimes you don't see the page you are going for. You just see a bad request gateway or a forbidden page or the page not found kind of error page. Yes, you can also create your custom error page and put it here. But this is enough for this demo. Then the backend targets. Now, what is the backend target? Well, my target is inside the backend pool. Which pool? NITA pool. All right, and the backend settings means the request should go to which port of your backend server. As you know that HTTP is running on port 80, but you can change the port as well for security reasons. So if you changed it, yes, you have to mention that port over here. So I will call it NITA backend pool rule or setting. Backend pool settings. So the request will go to HTTP port 80 of the server, and that's all. Yes, you have some additional or advanced settings as well that you can have cookie-based affinity, which means if the user, let's say, gets disconnected for any reason, like say bad internet or drop in the connection, well, the session will still be connected and wait for that user to reconnect. So the affinity will be there. But this is enough. So click add and add. All right, the whole chain is done. As you can see, you can actually add multiple frontend IPs, you can add multiple rules, and you can also have a collection of backend pools with a lot of resources inside it. Click next tags. We don't need to add tags here. Click review and create. And let's create this application gateway. Remember, once this is deployed, I will create one more for my app service. All right, so both application gateways are there. So that is the point here. When you have the application gateway, this will become your front-end IP. You do not have to expose your back-end resources. So remember the IP of the machine, the public IP of the machine, you don't need it anymore. You should even remove it. So backend will stay protected behind application gateway. Now, how to connect with your service then? Well, your users or anyone who wants to use the service have to come through application gateway. So this will be the new address. So they go through, and then the application gateway will take the user to the backend service, which is in the pool. Same for the app service as well. So let's go here. Perfect. So it will take you to the web application service. This one and this one. So that was your application gateway. Now, the application gateway can do a lot more. It can also protect your environment. Now for that, you just need to upgrade your application gateway to WAF version 2. Once you do that, you will create a policy. Policy will actually dictate how do you want to protect your environment, like what will be the rules to protect it. So let's call it NITA Web Application Firewall. You can also add bot protection. Okay, and then save it. So this will change the tier of your application gateway. Yes, it will become more expensive because you're adding a new service there. All right, so you click on your policy, and here you can see all the settings. For example, enforce request body inspection is enabled. This is the inspection body limit in KBs. Then let's go for managed rule. And all this protection is enabled by default by Microsoft. So it will make sure that the most perfect security is given, and this will be the compliance. So if you go here, as you can see, yes, you can also disable, let's say, a specific rule if you want. You can disable it. You can also add more. And this is the application gateway with which this rule is assigned. You can assign this rule to multiple application gateways all at once for easy management. And so on. This is also pretty nice. If you, let's say, want to scrub or you want to mask some important information, let's say credit card information or any other information which someone can find out and your application may get compromised, you can enable this feature in sensitive data. Right, like cookie name, header names, you can remove it. So this way, your application gateway firewall will protect your environment. So that was the end of this lab. I will see you in the next one. Welcome back. I hope now you know what application gateway can do for you. How easy it is to create a simple structure where your application will stay secured at the back end, and With your application gateway front end, you can manage all the incoming requests. Now, in summary, Azure Application Gateway not only allows you to implement advanced traffic routing and SSL termination, but it also enhances the security on top of it with a WAF, Web Application Firewall. Plus, with traffic monitoring and customizable WAF policy, you can ensure both performance and protection. So thanks for watching this episode. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to tune to NetSoft IT Academy for many more courses. Take care.